Okay, so let us start with the functions concept. Now, let us learn what actually this function is, why we need to go with the functions concept. Normally, listen carefully, all of you. Whenever a complex task is given to you, let us consider a complex task is given to you. Now, it is a responsibility for you to write down all the things involved in the task, in that complex task, and you need to write down the logic behind that. Now, can we simplify the task by dividing the complex task into smaller units and assigning the individual subtask or a smaller task to individual person, and all can work parallelly, and once everyone has done their task, that can be merged together to get the final product. Are you understanding? Instead of developing a complex task by individual person, where the time required to finish the task will be more. So to avoid that, what can we do? A complex task can be divided into smaller tasks where individual person can be doing their own part, and once everything is correct, we can merge them together and we can get a final output. Got it, all of you? For your understanding, let me generalize this one. Suppose a small, I am taking a small, simple example. You are asked to perform addition. You are asked to write down the logic to perform all the matrix operations. Now, what type of matrix operations we have? Addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Let us consider. Now, if a single person takes the task of doing this one, then he has to write down the logic for matrix addition, matrix multiplication, matrix subtraction also. Got it? Now, for doing these three tasks, let us consider 5 minutes. Let us suppose. So, total of 15 minutes is required to finish your task. But suppose if the complete task has been divided into three parts, where one part is for addition, the other part is for subtraction, and the other part is for multiplication. Now, three task has been assigned to three individual persons, then each person will be spending their own 5 minutes time to finish the task. Once individually they have done, that can be combined together. So within 5 to 6 minutes, we can finish our task. Isn't it great or not? So that can be achieved by using our functions concept. Now, one function is nothing but a simple task. Whatever we are saying, a complex task is divided into simple tasks, smaller task. That smaller task is now referred as a function. Understood? That is one use of our function. That is one use why we need to shift to the functions concept, where a complex task need to be divided into. First one is complex task is divided into smaller tasks. That is the first thing. And second thing is, let us see. You have been assigned with a project. Let us consider. In that project, at certain part, you want to find out the matrix addition operation. There, you have written the logic. Let us consider you are in your 500 line of statement. At that place, you want to perform the matrix addition operation. Then what you will do? You will write down all the 10 to 15 lines of code, let us consider, for performing the matrix operation, and you proceeded further, and now you are in your 1500th line of your project development. Now at that time also, you want to perform the matrix addition operation. Then what you need to do? Again, you need to write down the 15 lines of code. So the number of times you want to repeat the same task, in our case, the matrix addition operation, then you need to write out the same code once again in your project development. Then what we can do, that can be simplified by making those 15 lines of code as one function, and whenever you want to execute those 15 lines of code, in our case it is matrix addition, simply we can write down the name of that function. Instead of writing all the 15 lines repeatedly in our code, then what we can do, we can simply write those 15 lines of code as one function, as one block, and for that block we will be giving one name, and whenever you want to perform matrix addition, we can execute those 15 lines of code simply by mentioning the function name. That means simply by mentioning the block name that was given to that 15 lines of code. By this else what happened in our example, same example, I want to perform matrix addition in 500 line and 1500 line. So we need to write 15 lines there and again in the 1500, 15 lines again after the 1500 line code. Then 30 lines we are writing, that can be reduced by simply writing 15 lines once and giving the name, and that name can be simply given in the 500 line and 1500 line. Got it all of you? So this is one more example where same task, if you want to execute same set of instructions repeatedly, then also you can go with the functions concept. So these two are the main uses for shifting to the functions concept. What is that? Dividing a complex task into smaller tasks where individual task can be considered as a function and individual task can be performed by individual person. Or you can have, if you want to execute the same set of instructions repeatedly, then instead of writing the same set of instructions again and again in your code, just give some name to that set of instructions and call it as a function, and that name can be used anywhere in your code whenever you want to execute that set of instructions. So these are the two uses of your function. Now, whenever you want to use these, whenever you want to have functions concept in your C programming language, then what you need to do is you need to write the set of statements whichever you want to convert as a function. Remember, the same set of instructions are called as function, named as one function name. Now, what can we define? We can define a function can be defined like this. Sorry. A function can be defined like this: self-contained block of statements. Okay, and these self-contained set of block of statements will perform a particular task. In our example, our set of statements, our same set of statements that are called as self-contained block of statements, which are performing the matrix addition. As an example, I told you. So a function can be defined as a self-contained block of statements which performs a particular task. Got it? So this is the definition of our function. I hope you all are clear with this introduction to the function and the definition of the function. Is it clear to you all of you, why we need to learn this function concept? All of you? Why we are learning this function concept? Is that clear to all of you? A function, by using the function concept, a complex task can be divided into smaller tasks, and also same set of functions can be executed repeatedly instead of writing the set of statements once again in our code. So that's why a function is defined as a self-contained block of statements that perform a particular task. Got it? Now, whenever you want to achieve this thing, what we can do? We need to learn the syntax. We need to learn the syntax in our C programming language, how the function can be written, how a function can be included in our code. Got it? So the syntax is like this. The syntax is writing. Always you need to write down the return type. I'll explain you in detail what actually this return type is, everything. Function name. And then within the parentheses, you need to give arguments. Don't worry what the complete terminology, I'll tell you what actually this one is. Okay, this is the syntax. Or this can also be called as parameters. Okay, and then we need to put within the brackets what are all the set of statements we want to make it as a function. All the set of statements. Let us consider in our case matrix addition, you want to make it as a function. Then the code required to perform the matrix addition, that should be placed in between these two flower braces, and that code should be given one function name. Got it, all of you? Now here, for your syntax purpose, I'll be writing some statements here. Don't get confused. We'll be learning in detail about this. Local variable declaration. I'll tell you what actually this one is. But for the time being, note down this one, all of you. and write down all the statements that you want to put it in this block. And finally, you need to write down a statement called return, and R should be small letter, which is a keyword return. And within this one, you need to write down the value that you want to return. Okay, this is the syntax we need to follow whenever you are using, whenever you want to write any function in your program. Got it? What is the syntax? What is the syntax? You need to have a return type. I'll tell you what actually this return type is. And then you can give any name as a function name. And with function should be kept within the after this name, you need to put this parenthesis saying like this is a function. Got it? Whenever you are putting like this parenthesis, it is nothing but you are going to write a function. That means you are going to make a set of statements as one block, and for those set of statements, you are giving one name. That name can be written as a function name. Any name can be given to this one, function name. Okay. And within this parenthesis, you can have arguments, and you cannot have, this is optional. According to your requirement, you can simply put empty parenthesis, or you can write down some arguments list also. How to write the arguments list, I'll tell you with an example. Okay. And whatever you write inside this parenthesis that are referred as arguments or parameters, we can call them as arguments or we can call them as parameters. Okay. You can, these parameters or arguments are optional. You can have empty list also. Got it? Now, what is this return type is, after performing this operation, if you want to return any value, later we'll see in detail, but for the time being, you do, let us drop this one for the time being. Okay. Now, let us see a simple example for this one. I'm giving the example. Follow carefully. What is the example I'm giving? This return type is always a data type. It can be int, float, double, char data type. It can be any one of these 4 data types. Suppose whenever you are giving int return type, then the value whatever you are returning should be of integer data type. You can write float, the value should be of float data type. You can write double, the value whatever you are writing, it should be of double. Char, you can write, it should be of character data type. So always return type is nothing but a data type. Got it? If you don't want to write this return statement, this is optional. I will be writing this one in comment line. This is optional. This statement is optional. According to your requirement, you can put. Suppose if you are completely removing this return type statement because it is optional, in such a case, the return type should be written as void. So here I will be highlighting some points. Return type can be int, float, double, char, or it can be void also. What do you mean by void? When we will be writing void, if you don't want to write this return statement, then you can simply put void here. But if you are returning an integer value, then you need to write here int. If you are returning a float value, then you need to write down the float. If you are returning a double value, you need to write down the double. Got it? That's it. So let us not include this return statement because we don't know how to write down this statement. First, we will see, we'll not include this return statement. So for that, your return type should be always equal to void if you don't have a return statement. So what I can write in my example, I can write void. Okay, void is a keyword. All letters are small letters. Void is a keyword. Similar like your double is a keyword. Void is also a keyword, which should be all should be in similar small letters. Okay. After that, you can have your own function. Let me write my function as a simple example. I'm writing show message. Any name can be given. It is not like any name. And let me call show. That's it. My function name is show, and I'm not writing any parameters here. I'm simply putting this parenthesis. That's it. Got it? So this is the syntax. Don't get confused. Let me reduce the Okay. Now this syntax I am following. Now void main, within this void show, what we are writing, I can write any statement. I can write if this local variable declaration is nothing but any variables if you want to use in your program, variables for performing your task, then those variables should be declared here, similar like the way you have done. Like int a is a variable declaration, float b, like that you can declare any variables. Why we are calling it as a local variable declaration, that you can learn later. But if any variables are required for you, you can simply write here. But I want to write a simple printf statement. Print f hello world. Just I have written one simple statement. See, I have not written any return statement. Observe here, because I have written void, we should not have any return statement. Now, can you recollect this one while executing something in our compiler? I'll show you that one. Let me show you that also. Let me show you that. Give me a minute. Now, if you see here, in our program, we don't have any return statement. So that's why I have written void. Got it, all of you? Got it? Now, if you see, whenever we are opening any compiler, we are getting this one as a by default name. So int main is there. You don't know still now why we are writing int. Why? Because we have a return statement of 0. 0 is an integer value, so that's why int is written here. That means you should know, like, main is a function. Main is a function which is having its own code. Now, whenever you are executing your program, always the execution will start from the main function. Main is called as a function. If you observe here, this is already defined function. We are writing our own code in that. Got it? Main is a function from where the compiler will start its execution. Now here, why by default it is given int? Because here they are writing return 0. Suppose if you are removing this return 0, what we will be doing? Always if you are removing this one, we need to put here void. Understood, all of you? So this is a simple function. Now what we have done, I told you we can have our own function. I told you like this. This is the code we have written. Now let us add this code in our program. Always remember, main should be there. Without main, nothing will work. Okay. Now I will after this main function. Within a function, you should not have another function. One function should be closed and then you can have another function. Observe here, main function has been closed. Remember, when till now we have written all the statements within the main function only. But as we have created our own function now, okay, that means we need to close the main function and then we need to write down our own function here. Now, if you want to execute, if you hello world in main, I am writing hello world in show. I am writing. Now I want to print this output, but I want to include the functions concept. Then how can you do this one? Simply call this function name in your main method. Now if you see here, show, if you write like this, simply call with the function name, then what happens? Your function will be called. Let us run this program. If any error is there, it will be displayed. Not executing. Still, again, I got the same problem. The compiler is not running. Okay, let me. Yeah, sometimes it is taking a lot of time. What I'll do is I'll open one more compiler for our convenience and I'll show you that. Okay. I'm checking in the other compiler. If it works well, then I'll show you. Okay, this work. Now, if you see here, here what I have done, I have taken the main function as it is, and in that main function, I have simply added one printf statement. Don't bother about this return statement and all, because there is a return 0. 0 is an integer value. We need to put the int data type. Okay, return type. Now, if you see, this is our function. In this function, I have written one printf statement, hello, in the show, that has been written in the printf. Now, if you want to execute the statement that are there in this function, then simply you need to call that one with a what is that one, by the function name. What is our function name? Show, with no parenthesis, no, with empty parenthesis. Now if you run this one, you can check the output here. You will be executing this code. So you got that line of code here, hello world. After this statement, the control will come here and the execution will start with this one. So from here, the control will shift to this function. Okay, so it will enter into this function and this statement will be executed. That's why you will be getting the output hello in the show. Now once this function has been executed, it will return back here, and as there is nothing, no statement will be executed. Suppose if you want to show me the difference, I'll write one more printf statement here. Hello world in main second pad. Let us run this program and you can see the flow of execution. Okay. Let me write slash and here. Now if you see here, always the execution will start from the main function. It will enter into the main function. This statement will be executed. You have got that output hello world in the main. After that, we are calling the show function. So from here, the control will go inside and it will execute this function and you will be getting this output. So we got the output called hello in show. Now, once all the statements have executed, the compiler will not come to an end. From here, the control will go back to the next statement of your show. What is the next statement of your show? This one. So you will be getting this output. And after that, the next statement will be executed. It will return the 0 value. And this is the end of your main function. Got it? This is how a simple function can be included into your already existing code. Suppose it is not like we should have only one function. You can have multiple functions. Suppose I want one more function, show. My function name is show1. Got it? That means again I can have one more function. Remember, your functions can be written anywhere in your code. It is not like always it should be written after the main. Before main also you can write. I'll show you. I am adding the show1 function. Okay. And in the show1 function, I am writing a simple printf statement like this. Show1. Now here I am calling that one. After that, for your understanding, I am adding one more printf statement in the main third time. Right? Now let us run this program. If any error is there, that will be displayed. Now if you see here what happened, always, even though this function is there in the starting, this statement will not be executed. This function will not be executed. Remember, always the program execution will be started from the main function itself. Main is also a function. So the execution will start from the main. It will enter into the main. This statement will be executed. So we got this output. What is that? Hello world in the main. Okay. After that, after this statement, what happens? It is executing this show method, show function. Now the control will come from here to where it will search in the complete program where the show function is there. It will come here. This statement will be executed. You will be getting an output of hello in show. So you got hello in show. After finishing this function, the control will go back to the place from where it has been called. So from here, it will go here. So after that, whatever statement we have, that will be executed. You will be getting hello world in main. Second time, okay, so you'll be getting hello world in main. Got it? And then you have show one. So it will search for the show one function. Here it is there. So it will come here and the statements within the show one will be executed. You will be getting an output of hello one in show one. Hello one and show one is displayed. Now after executing this function, the control will go back to the place from where the show one has been called. So it will come here and this statement will be executed next. So you will be getting the last output. So next one is return 0. This is the end of our code execution. Got it? So this is how the flow of execution will be there if you are using the functions concept. Someone has asked me a doubt. Yeah, if this main function is there here also, anywhere in your program the main function can be there. Always the execution will start from the main only. Even if you have 100 functions before this main, then also a main function will be called. Always there should be a starting point from the for the compiler to know from where the execution should start. So the compiler was designed like that. The compiler was instructed like that. Always start the execution from the main, because if you don't have a starting point, there may be confusion for the compiler from where to start. So it was designed like that. Always the program execution should start from the main function, and then the way you want to call the function, the way you want to execute the statements will be in your hands. You can customize, you can write your code like that. Got it, all of you? But the one thing you need to understand here is main is also a function, and always the program execution will start from the main function. Even though you have 100 codes, 100 functions before this and also, that will not be considered. If you want to execute those functions, that can be written in the code. Without main function, you should not write your code. In C programming language, without main function, you should not write your code. Main function is must in your code. That's why in your earlier programs, whatever you have written till now, did you observe you have written everything in the main function only? Right? So without main, you should not write your C code. But if you want to include your own functions, then you can call that one in your main function. Understood? Now, I'll little bit customize this one. You people tell me what will be the output. This show one, I'm not calling in this main method. I'm calling this show one in this show. Okay, don't get confused. Okay. Now, can any one of you tell me what will be the output or what will be the flow of execution for this code? For your understanding, I'll put some space here so that it will be more clear to you. This is the main function. This is the show function. This will be the show one function. Someone has told me that show one will not be printed. No, that is not the case. Let me execute this one so that it will be clear to you. Very good. Some told the correct flow. What happens is, see, from main function, the execution will start. It will print this output. After that, it will call the show function. So from here, the compiler will shift to here, executing. Now, the print hello in show will be displayed. After that, show one is called. So from here, the compiler will go back to show one. Now, this one will be executed. You will be getting an output of hello in show one. This is the end of this show one. From here, it will be moving back to the place from where it has been called. Where it has been called, it has been called from here to here, right? So it will move back here. After this, there are no statements. So this is the end of your show. Now, where the show has been called from here, the control will go back to here. Now, after this, these two statements will be executed. This is the flow. That means you need to understand from one function to another function also, the functions can be called. Got it? But You need to keep in your mind always the function, the compiler will start its execution from the main. So at least one function should be called in the main, and from there onwards you can have your own connections between the functions. Got it? So let us run this program. If you observe the output, first you will be getting this one hello world in main. Okay. And after that show function is called. So it will switch here. You will be getting an output of hello in show one, right? And after that you will be moved to the show one function. Now you will be getting this my output. Hello, we got that one also. And from here it will shift back here, and no statements are there. It will shift back here and you will be getting these two outputs. Okay, let us add one more here for your understanding. Then what happens? First, this line will be displayed, right? That has been displayed. Next, show has been called. It will come here. This line will be displayed. Yes, this is displayed. Then show one is called. It will go here, and this line will be displayed. Yeah, that is good. It will come back to this. Then this will be displayed again. Got it? It will go back to the place from where it has been called, and then these two lines will be executed, and you are getting these two lines of code. Got it? So this is how you can play with the functions according to your requirement. But the only thing you need to understand here is always the program execution will start with the main function. That you need to understand, all of you. Okay. Note on this example. We'll see a little bit complicated about a little parameter passing. I think I will tell you how it can be. Okay. A small example I'll tell you. You need to remember, all of you, is always the program execution will start with the main function, and at least one function should be called in the main, so that from there onwards you can have your own functions from where it has to be jumped. Okay, now let us see. I think you all are clear with this one. Is this clear to you all? Is this simple example clear to you all? Yeah, very good. Now, let us see a little bit complicated one. If you observe here, we have not written any parameters here, but you can have your own parameters. How the parameters should be declared? The parameters should be written like always, whenever you are writing any parameter here, the arguments place, you need to write in this fashion. How you need to write? You need to write on the data type, and you need to write on the variable name. You can have more than one argument also, but let us start with single argument. How you need to write? Int a. Let us consider. Then you can simply print the a value. Now, how you are getting this a value? I'll show you. Let me compile in the same thing. I'll erase this one. Okay. So we have two functions. Now, in this main function, I am writing int a equal to 10. Okay. Now I am adding a printf statement a in main equal to %d comma a. So whatever a value is there, that will be printed. Now I am calling a function called a show, and to this show we have written like this int a, right? Now I have written a printf statement printf a in show equal to %d slash n. Here also let me put slash n. Okay, comma a. Now, as we are requesting for one parameter, always whenever you are calling in this show function, you need to pass one parameter. That parameter can be any parameter in your main function. In our main, we want to pass this a, so simply write a. Got it? Remember, whenever you are passing any parameter, the data type of this parameter and the data type of this parameter should be matching. Here, this a, you can write any name. You can write x also, no problem. I'll tell you. I'm modifying this one as x. Now, what happens here is, always whatever value you are passing here, that will be copied into this x. What is the value of a here? 10. 10 will be copied into your x. Now, x in show equal to, you will get a value of whatever value you have given in the place of a. Let me run this one. If you are getting any, yeah. Now, if you see here, this is the first statement that will be declaring an initialization of a, and then you are printing the value of a in main equal to you are getting a value of 10. Got it? And then you are calling the function called show, and in the compiler will move to this statement show whatever value you are passing here, that will be copied into the x, and then printf x in show equal to, you will be getting a value is 10, that will be copied into x also, x equal to 10, and you will be getting an output of x in show equal to 10. Understood all of you? Now this, here you need to understand a little terminology. This parameter, whatever you are passing to the function, is called as actual argument, and the function, whatever argument you are writing is called as a formal argument. Understand the terminology all of you? We have written here in our code, we have written a is called as actual argument. You need to understand this terminology. Whatever variable we are passing to the function is called as actual argument, and x is called as formal argument. This is actual argument and this is formal argument. Understood all of you? Clear? Right? Now, I will do a little modification here. I am incrementing the x value. Earlier the x value is same like your a value. I am incrementing the x value. X plus plus is nothing but x equal to x plus 1. Now, will it affect your a or not? We will see. Let us run this program. Are you understanding what I am doing? A value has been copied into x. Now, any changes in x will not affect your a. Let us run this. If you see here, we got x value as 11, but the original a value is, if you write one more printf statement here and run this, in both the cases, we got a value as 10 only. That means any changes in your formal arguments. What do you mean by formal arguments? X. Any changes in the formal argument will not affect your actual arguments. Got it? That's why these are called as formal arguments. For the time being, they are used. But actual arguments are these arguments. Understand all of you? So this is called as parameter passing. So the way we have written here, got it? We have used the function name. We have written the return type. Return type, if nothing is there, if no return statement is there, we need to write void. And then we have written the arguments. With simple example, we have started with one argument. We can have two arguments also. Let me show you that also. B equal to 5. Let us consider. I am passing A comma B. Let me declare B as another data type. Float. Okay. 5.6. We can have different data types. So int x is of integer, x is of integer data type. Next one is, you are taking one more argument that should be a float data type. I'm writing byte. Remember, the way you are passing here, the way you need to declare the data types for that variable. First variable is of integer data type because A is of integer data type. Second variable is of float data type because B is of float data type. Got it all of you? Now simply you can write printf statement. Y and Y. Format specifier is %f. Now let us run this program, and if you can see, Why ensure you got this big value? Why? We are passing 5.6, but that 5.6 should be copied here, 5.6. Okay. Got it? For the time being, you understand? We need to pass the values the way you are asking here. Otherwise, type conversion will take care. Got it? So this is how a simple functions can be executed in your program. You need to follow the syntax like this. We need to have the return type. After that, you need to have the function name, and then you need to have the arguments. Okay. After that, within the flower braces, you need to write down your own variables declaration like we have done int A, int B, like that. And then you need to have your own statements. And then finally, you need to have return statement, which is optional. So if you are writing it is optional, then the return type should be always void. Okay, this is how functions concept can be included. This is a little bit introduction about this function. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me. The next class will proceed further. We'll understand. Screen is not visible now. Yeah, if you see here, we need to start with the function name, and then we need to have a return type. Always we need to have a return type. Argument list should match with the way you are passing the variables. And then you need to have a local variables declaration, nothing but int A, int B you have declared like that. Statements, and then you need to have return statement. If return statement is there, according to the value you are passing, you need to have a return type. If no return type is there, simply you need to write void. Got it? So with this, we'll come to an end of today's class. We learned about the what is the use of functions, and we learned the definition of the function, and also we learned the syntax, right? And we have seen two examples of how functions can be called and how parameters can also be passed. And you also learned what is nothing but an actual argument and what is nothing but a formal argument, right? With this basic introduction, in the next class, we'll see the types of functions. Got it, all of you? In today's class, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.